Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Triple R, Ryan's Real Reactions, and today we are watching a video that one of you guys sent me on Instagram. Thank you for reaching out and sending me this video. It is from the channel TrueCrimeStoriesHD. The title is Chris Watts 2025, Why Jim and Nicole Kessinger Must Be Interrogated. New Evidence Changes Everything. So, without further ado, let's do it. Thank you guys for all of the love on my recent channel post that I did about my life update. I really appreciate it. It made me smile. There was like 300 comments. It legit made my whole month.
There's a name you've never heard in the Watts case. A co-worker, a friend, someone who was there, before, during, and suspiciously quiet, after. In 2025, new information has surfaced that should make every investigator revisit August 2018. This isn't conspiracy. This is pattern recognition.
Okay.
And the pattern points to Jim. But before we go further...
Jim, okay, I remember Jim. Jim was briefly mentioned by Nicole, I believe, in an interrogation that was like, and she was like, oh, leave Jim out of it, like he didn't do anything. But I believe there were some suspicious phone calls or like long phone calls and things to Jim. So, okay. So this is probably going to be about Jim.
Before I show you what I've uncovered...
This might be like an AI voice, which, look, it's fine. Some people don't like their voice and they use AI, but I'm thinking it's an AI voice.
You need to understand why this story almost didn't reach you. Sean and Watts.
Sean and Watts. Shanann. Let's not get it twisted here. Okay. You can use AI, but it's Shanann. Shanann Watts. Let's not be mispronouncing it.
4 years old.
Gotta, when you make videos like this, you gotta spell check a little bit. I'm not trying to hate, but I'm just saying, you gotta spell check. Come on.
A mother who loved fiercely. Bella, 4 years old. She said, "Daddy, no," in her final moments. Celeste, 3 years old. Still clutching her blanket. Nico, the son who never took his first breath. As investigators, we follow facts. But as humans, we remember victims.
Very true.
Drop an amen below if you still believe their story deserves peace. Their story didn't end with Chris Watts'
I feel like that's kind of comment bait right there, but, all good.
confession. Because Chris Watts didn't act in a vacuum. And that's where Jim enters the picture. I need to be honest with you. What you're about to hear, this investigation, it's cost me sleepless nights, legal consultations, hitting walls that shouldn't exist in 2025. Getting information on Jim hasn't been easy. Records that should be public. Delayed. Former co-workers. Silent. There's a reason his name was barely mentioned in 2018. And that reason, that's what we're uncovering. As an investigative reporter working without a major network behind me, every document, every interview, every lead, it takes resources. If you believe in truth, in justice for Sean and Bella.
Why does it keep saying Sean? It's spelled Sean, S-H-E-N, now S-H-A-W-N. It's Shanann.
Celeste, and Nico. I'm asking you
It's getting everything else right.
to stand with this investigation. Your support gives me the tools to keep digging.
Okay.
Jim, for legal reasons, we're using his first name only.
Got it.
Here's what we know. Worked at Anadarko Petroleum, same location as Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger, friends with Nicole, not just colleagues.
Oh, I did not know. Okay, so Jim legit worked with Nicole and Chris.
Friends. Worked in proximity to the oil fields where the bodies were hidden, had access to site security codes, never formally interviewed by investigators. Never formally interviewed. June 2018. Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger begin their affair. July 2018. Nicole confides in Jim about relationship troubles, verified through text metadata. August 11, 2018. Jim calls in sick, the Saturday before the murders.
That's suspicious. It seems like the investigator is like, why wasn't he questioned at all? It just, wouldn't you be doing your due diligence in a case like this to really, it's like they were kind of like, yeah, all right, we're good. So Jim called in sick the Saturday before the murders. That's very suspicious.
August 13th, 2018. The Watts family is eliminated. August 14th to 15th. Jim deletes his social media.
Okay. That's, you know what? And I guarantee you, Nicole was probably the one to do it, because Nicole was the one deleting things, and then she was the one looking up like how to delete a Facebook or whatever, right? Without it being recovered or something like that. I guarantee you that probably on those phone calls that she had to Jim, she was probably saying, hey, I know how to do this. We need to get rid of all of this before it comes out so that you're untraceable, or else you're going to get involved with this and they're going to go after you.
All of it.
Because that's why she says, no, Jim is, no, stop. Jim's a friend. Don't even worry about it. And they believed it because, you know.
August 16th, 2018. Jim's truck is seen on surveillance near Serva 319. The oil site. The grave site. Nicole Kessinger. The name everyone knows. But here's what you don't know about her and Jim. 47 calls between Nicole and Jim in July 2018 alone. 8
47 calls in July.
Calls the week of the murders. 2 calls the
8 calls the week of the murder. So this is definitely AI voice, so I'm definitely doing my best to try to recap what they're saying. 2 calls the morning of August 13th.
morning of August 13th.
Why are you making so many calls that day, Nicole, if you were just doing your thing and had no idea what was going on?
Hours before Sean and return from Arizona, their final
Shanann.
call. 1:47 a.m. August 15th. Duration, 28 minutes.
1:40 something in the morning, a 28-minute phone call. What are you talking on the phone with somebody 2 days after Chris murders his family? What are you talking on someone almost 2 in the morning for 28 minutes? I bet a lot of us can understand and probably come up with what they were talking about. And it probably wasn't what salad they ate for lunch today. Probably wasn't what episode of TV they watched. I think that we both know that it was something a little bit more sinister.
What do you say to a coworker at 1:47 in the morning when a
Yeah, you know what you say if they call you? F off, I'm going to bed. Text me tomorrow.
family has just been reported missing? Nicole's notorious Google searches are public record. Can cops trace text messages Shanann Watts searched
There you go, Shanann. Thank you.
a year before she claims she knew about her? But Jim's searches? Wiped. Phone replaced. 2 days after Chris Watts' arrest, Nicole Kessinger received immunity.
So Jim's phone was replaced. Oh, yeah, they were hiding something major. Oh, yeah. Maybe Jim was one of the people that Nicole was confiding in on what to do with Shanann's body. And is it possible that Jim was the one saying, dude, just put her in and put your kids in the oil, bins because no one will ever find them.
Limited but immunity. Her father, it's been reported, interfered with evidence collection. But Jim disappeared from the narrative entirely. Why? I want to pause here because what we're building, you and me, it's bigger than one video. This is about accountability. This is about those 3 beautiful...
And as always, this is alleged, right? I guess you do have to say that. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, yeah, there is a lot more shadiness going on with all these people than they made it seem like.
souls not being forgotten. I see your
4 beautiful souls.
comments. Why hasn't Jim been investigated? Where is Nicole Kessinger in 2025? Why did law enforcement stop here? These questions matter. Your voice matters.
I personally think that the police, once Chris admitted that he did it, I think that the police were like, all right, well, we have enough. We're good. I think that they were just like, cool, we did our job. And that was it. And I think they believed Nicole because she's a quote-unquote pretty woman who enamored them with acting ability and the ability to play things down and avoid the truth. Because like we said, I've been watching the interrogation. Check that out on my channel if you haven't. I'm on part 2. It's a long interrogation, so I'm watching it in parts. And the one time the investigator actually asked like a pretty deep question, suddenly Nicole's father, who didn't say a thing for almost an hour, suddenly is like, oh, hold on, you're overstepping your boundaries, blah, blah, and start freaking out. And Nicole's looking at him and freaking out. It's like, come on now. What do you have to hide?
Algorithm shows this content to more people when you engage. When you ask these questions.
See, I tell you guys that. It is true. The algorithm does push videos with more likes and comments. People think that that's just some YouTuber scam. It's really not.
When you share your theories, when you demand answers. So I'm asking, what's your theory about Jim? Comment below. Let's build this investigation together. Because the more attention this gets, the harder it becomes to ignore.
I'm trying to give it more attention right now, my friend. That's why I'm making this video.
Let's talk about what investigators should have asked about Jim. Survey 319. The site where Bella and Celeste were placed in oil tanks. Shannon buried in a shallow grave nearby.
Shannon.
This wasn't random. Whoever helped Chris, or gave him information, knew which tanks were inactive, how to avoid security cameras when minimal staff would be present, the access codes. Jim had all of this knowledge. Chris Watt's story. He acted alone. Drove to the site alone. Disposed of his family alone. But here's the problem. 5:27 a.m. Neighbor's camera shows Chris's truck leaving with bodies 6:15 a.m. Chris Watt's truck arrives at Serva 319, GPS data, 6:17 a.m. First gate opens 7:08 a.m. Second vehicle appears on nearby road camera. License plate obscured 7:52 a.m. Chris Watts texts, done. Done. 47 minutes to carry 3 bodies, lower 2 into tanks, bury 1, clean up, compose himself. Experts say it's possible. But barely. Now consider, what if he had help? This was never released to the public, but through FOIA requests, we found something chilling. Jim's phone pinged a cell tower 2.3 miles from Serva 319 at 7:14 a.m. on August 13th.
That's crazy. Now, you could say, let's play devil's advocate, which I like to do. Well, he does work for Anadarko at the time, and maybe that's just his area, and it's not unlikely, but it's like, it is unlikely that there's no correlation here. Right? Same day, same time, same location, and Chris was trying really hard to quote-unquote have full what is that word? It's like anonymity. It's not how you say it. Anonymity. Anonymity. I think that's it. Bro, there's just some words that trip me up in life. Anonymity. That's one of them. Jeez Louise. But yeah, he wanted to be alone. Damn it. That's all I wanted to say. And so he would have made sure that there wasn't somebody close.
His statement? He was homesick. The cell tower data says otherwise.
Yeah, well,
Nicole
the cell tower data doesn't lie. Humans do.
Kessinger sat for hours of interrogation.
Also, Kessinger has been spelled wrong many times, but it's that's a nitpick. I'm just, it's neither here nor there.
Her story changed. Her timeline shifted. But eventually, she walked away. Jim. Never interrogated. Never polygraphed. Never asked. Where were you the morning of August 13th? Why did you delete your social media? Why did you replace your phone? What did Nicole tell you about Chris?
It just does it not drive you guys crazy how much the investigators dropped the ball on this? Because they're right. Why? Hey, you replaced your phone. Hey, you deleted your social media. Hey, what's up with this? And I think that they tried a little bit with the phone call with Jim, and then she just glossed over it and they moved on. But it was like, dude, when you find out that information, I don't care if it's like, yeah, we already got Chris to say what. No, that's an alibi. This could be someone that had an alliance with the. Looking at it now, I didn't think about this fully, but like it looks like from this allegedly that it was like a 3-person job, because we know that Chris was stupid and like wouldn't know how to do this. Nicole was more of a mastermind, and she probably needed Jim to give her and Chris the logical plan when it comes to the actual oil fields itself.
Did you know Shannon was in danger?
Shanann.
Chris Watts failed his polygraph. That's how his confession started. Nicole Kessinger refused a polygraph.
I didn't know that. I thought she didn't.
That's when she got immunity discussions. Jim was never offered a polygraph.
Crazy.
Because Jim was never considered a suspect. But in 2025, independent investigators, people like me, people like the followers of this case, we're asking, why not? Nicole Kessinger's father. Reports suggest he interfered with evidence collection, coached his daughter, potentially disposed of items.
I believe that.
If true, that's obstruction of justice. But he was never charged. Why? Because charging him means reopening questions about Nicole. And reopening questions about Nicole means asking about Jim. And asking about Jim means admitting the investigation was incomplete.
Very true.
I'm going to ask something of you.
Those investigators want to put this behind them because it makes them look like they were incompetent and that they just did not do their job properly, which they did not. Let's just say it. They probably want nothing to do with this. They probably want no new information to come out because they don't want people to be like, what the hell was that? You guys botched this. Because, well, once again, they did. They botched it. They dropped the ball.
And I don't ask lightly. This case, Shanann, Bella, Celeste,
Shanann.
Nico, they can't speak for themselves anymore. Their story has been controlled by a narrative that says, one evil man, case closed.
Very true. That is the narrative. That's why on this channel, I really try to talk about Nicole Kessinger as much as I can. And sometimes, every now and then, I'll see a comment of people saying, leave the case alone. Let them rest. The point of making these videos is because they deserve more justice. Bella, Celeste, Nico, Shanann, they deserve more justice than just Chris being the scapegoat. And I will constantly do what I can on this channel, even if it's 5, 10, 15,000 people that watch, to make sure that more people know that Nicole Kessinger is a piece of shit and that she is also guilty of many things. And now it seems like the same could be said for this Jim guy, right? So it's like, that's why I do this. I understand the perspective of like, oh, I feel like, you know, I understand when people say you should let people, you know, and the families and all. I totally get it. But the point of this is to make sure people like Nicole don't just get away with this without any public scrutiny. Because all it takes is 1 or 2 videos and then boom, more videos. And there's a lot of videos about Nicole Kessinger out now. That's how it should be, right? She shouldn't be able to escape what she did.
But what if it's not closed? What if there are people walking free who had knowledge, who had involvement, who have never answered for it? I've dedicated months to this. Lost sleep. Faced pushback. Been told to let it go. But I won't.
It's exactly what I just said. Why don't you let it go? Why don't you move on? No, that's not how it works. Not when you think there are other people involved that deserve punishment, or at least, at the very least, public backlash.
Not while there are unanswered questions.
And I know almost everybody on this channel that's a real supporter understands that. I'm just saying sometimes I'll see that on true crime channels. And it's like, then it's just not the niche for you if that's the case. And that's okay. It's not for everybody. I totally understand that.
Not while Jim remains a ghost in this story. If this matters to you, if justice matters to you, make this impossible to ignore.
Yep.
Share this. Send it to someone who covered the case. Tag investigators.
See? Literally, that's what happened. I was shared this from a lovely Triple Army member on my Instagram. Link in the description if you want to follow me. That's how it works. Exactly what they want is what we're doing here on the channel.
Tag journalists. Tag anyone who said this case was over. Because with enough voices, enough pressure, enough light, maybe, finally, Jim has to answer the question. What do you know? Chris Watts sits in Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Protective custody. Segregated from general population. Why? Because even among criminals, there's a code. And family annihilators, especially those who hurt children, they're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Chris Watts receives regular threats. Has been moved multiple times. Lives in a cell 23 hours a day. Eats alone. Will die alone. Some,
as he should,
call this karma. Others say it's not enough. Colorado abolished the death penalty in 2020. But even in 2018, prosecutors chose not to seek it in exchange for information on the body's locations. Should Chris Watts have received the death penalty? Here's the deeper question. If Jim was involved, should he be facing the same sentence?
Look, no. Should he be facing, a 500 years in prison like Chris Watts? No. Because he didn't technically do it. But just like I say for Gypsy Rose, knowing what we know now, she should be in jail for a lot longer than she was. Jim should at the very least face jail time if that's the case. Nicole Kessinger should face jail time if that's the case, right? And you could let me know. Maybe they do deserve life. Maybe Nicole Kessinger does deserve life in prison, right? But at least jail time. At least something. Instead of absolutely nothing.
Watts' defense attorneys considered a mental illness.
Because once again, Chris did do it. Chris did the action. Chris, he wasn't technically forced to do it. He did it. And he deserves his due diligence. He deserves his punishment. And he deserves to die alone.
It was abandoned when Chris confessed.
Yep.
Was Chris Watts mentally ill? Experts are divided. No history of violence, no diagnosed conditions past psychological evaluations at work. Or was he simply a man who wanted a new life and saw his family as obstacles?
Ding, ding, ding.
And if it's the latter, what does that say about anyone who helped him? Here's what's happened in 2025 that makes this case relevant again. A former Anadarko employee, we'll call her Sarah, reached out to me. Sarah worked in HR. She was never interviewed in 2018.
Doesn't seem like anybody was.
She told me this. The week after the murders, she was asked to pull Jim's personnel file.
Oh.
Then told to hold off on sending it to investigators.
Oh, my Lord.
Who told her? Her supervisor. Who gave that instruction? Unknown. That file contained Jim's work history, access credentials, disciplinary records. It was never turned over. In January 2025.
What in the world were they trying to hide? I mean, what in the world, man? What? This is ridiculous. This stuff pisses me off.
A woman matching Nicole Kessinger's description was spotted in Charlotte, North Carolina, believed to be living under a new name.
I knew that. I knew that she probably went through the whole witness protection thing. She probably, got a legal name change. She probably dyed her hair, probably did a bunch of different things so that she doesn't look the same.
Jim has family in Charlotte.
Oh, wow.
Coincidence? The true crime community has kept this case alive.
Are they insinuating that they might be together?
Thousands analyzing phone records, mapping timelines, finding inconsistencies. Increasingly, they're asking about Jim. Jim's LinkedIn disappeared in 2019. His property records show a home sale within months of the murders. A restraining order filed in 2020. Details sealed. What was Jim hiding from?
Wow. Sold his home. There was a restraining order. Oh, dude, this could be much deeper if this is true.
Legal experts told me, if evidence shows Jim had foreknowledge, assisted, or lied, he can still be charged.
Okay.
Colorado has no statute of limitations on murder. Could Jim have informal immunity? Possibly. If he provided information in exchange for not being pursued.
Yeah, but he didn't.
If that's true, what did he tell them? And why wasn't it enough? If Nicole's father interfered, coached her, disposed of evidence, that's obstruction. Prosecutable.
Yep.
Why no charges? Because charging him means reopening the case. Imagine if every person who cares about this case made one move. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For them. It tells YouTube's algorithm. This matters. It tells journalists.
I'm going to subscribe to their channel. And you should subscribe to mine too.
People still care. It tells Jim, you're not hidden anymore.
Right.
Leave a comment. Justice. Peace. Truth. Amen.
Okay, you don't have to do all that.
Whatever moves you. When this video hits 10 million views, when the comments reach 100,000, when investigators see that the public hasn't forgotten, maybe finally, Jim has to answer.
Right.
Let me walk you through the leading theories about Jim's involvement. Theory 1.
I guess once again, they're alleged, right? These are theories, but they're certainly very interesting.
Unwitting accessory. Chris confides in Nicole. Nicole vents to Jim. Jim gives info about work sites, not knowing what Chris plans. Afterward, he panics, deletes evidence. Possible, but doesn't
I don't think so.
explain his phone location or the 1:47 a.m. call.
You got Nicole randomly saying, hey, can I have some information about this? You don't think he'd be like, what's this for? Oh, nothing. I'm just curious. You know, come on now.
Theory 2. The information source. Jim knowingly provides Chris with information about Survey 319, unused tanks, security gaps, thinking it's about divorce, not murder. Afterward, he hides it. More plausible. Theory 3. The active participant. Jim is present.
Because, like, thinking it's about divorce, what would divorce have to do with him being in an oil field? You know what I'm saying? What's he hooking up with somebody out there?
At Survey 319. Helps Chris. 47 minutes makes sense with two people. Nicole possibly knows. Explains everything, but hardest to prove. What do you believe?
That's what I think. If you truly don't think Nicole knew what was going on, I'm sorry, but I just, your opinion isn't wrong because it's still an opinion until we know a fact. But I just don't agree.
1, 2, 3, or your own theory. Before we close, here are the questions that keep me up at night. To Jim. Where were you the morning of August 13th? Why delete your social media?
Right.
What was the 1:47 a.m. call? Why did your phone ping near Survey 319? What did Nicole tell you about Chris? To Nicole. Why did you search Shanann's name a year before you claim you knew her? What did you tell Jim? Why refuse a polygraph? Where are you in 2025? Did you know Chris's plans? To Nicole's father. Did you interfere with evidence? Did you coach her? Why were you never...
He definitely did. You could see in the interrogation when he knew to step in.
Never charged.
And she was looking at him like a child would look at a father, like, help me, what do I do?
To law enforcement. Why was Jim never interviewed?
Correct,
Who
why?
decided that? Is there an immunity deal? Will you reopen this case? These questions...
I don't think they ever will, and I'm going to keep making videos about it. I just don't think they ever will, because once again, then they're going to have to accept the fact that they dropped the ball, and their egos probably can't handle that.
Deserve answers. Until they get them, this case isn't closed.
Yep.
Shannon Watts loved
Shanann.
her daughters fiercely. Bella loved her little sister. Celeste was shy and sweet. Nico never got to be held by his mother.
That's true. That sucks to even think about.
Chris Watts took all that away, and he may not have acted alone. As investigators, we follow facts. As humans, we remember victims. Shannon, Bella, Celeste, Nico. Say their names in the comments. Keep their memory alive.
Exactly. That's also why I do this. Keeps people's memories alive. It keeps their name out there for those that need to hear it. Need to hear their story the right way and not the lies that Chris or Nicole try to make it seem, or the people on this on different platforms that try to slander Shanann and her family and try to paint her to be this horrific person and almost like she deserved it. And every time I read something like that, it makes me just so disappointed in society to think that just because somebody is on social media a lot or might be a quote unquote badgering person to their husband or might have a certain lifestyle that they can't meet means wise, money wise, that means that they should lose their lives and their child's lives. And I do believe that if somebody thinks that, I think that you should seek some help and some therapy, because I think that that's really disappointing.
Because when we remember them, we demand justice.
Correct.
And justice means the whole truth, not just the convenient parts. This investigation continues. I'm following leads on Jim's whereabouts.
Good.
Working to unseal documents. Talking to more witnesses. If you have information, if you worked at Anadarko, if you knew Jim, my contact is in the description. Full confidentiality. Full protection.
I hope he gets some stuff.
To the millions watching, you're not just viewers. You're witnesses. Voices. The reason the truth can't stay buried. Jim, if you're watching this, your silence is loud. And it's not protection.
Right.
It's prison. For Shanann, Bella, Celeste,
Shanann,
and Nico, this isn't over.
Great video. All right. Well, I hope they get more information. I hope some people come forward to the True Crime Stories channel. Looks like their video is getting a couple hundred comments here. Cool. I'm going to subscribe to that channel. There's always something with this case, man. I'll tell you what. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you want me to make more videos into Jim. I'm very curious. Or even about Nicole's dad, because that also, there's still more about him that I'm like, Of course, like the video if you made it to the end. As he said in the video, likes and comments mean a lot to the algorithm. Hype the video if you can. Subscribe to the channel. Would mean a lot if you could subscribe. I post 4 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, right around 5 p.m. PST. So you always have something to look forward to on those days. And then my merch drop is coming out this Sunday. And once it's out, it's out. You should, you'll see it. I'll plug it. But I'm excited. Thank you guys for hyping me up about that. A lot of you were saying, "Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to support you." I know I didn't show what it is yet, but I hope you have faith that I'm going to give you something that I think you would wear. And then once again, the community post, like if you go to my channel, like my actual page, you know what I'm talking about, like Triple R, and then you hit posts, and then, that's where people put like, oh, polls and things and that. If you want to check out what I said, it's a whole post about like my life and an update on my sobriety and weight loss journey and some things about that. I get a little bit transparent and try to be really open with you guys. And like I said, there was 300 something comments on a community post. That's ridiculously insane. Thank you. That means a lot. I got a little choked up reading some of the comments. I read every single one. Those of you that are going through struggles in life with weight, with depression, with anxiety, with addiction, trust me, I've been through that. I get it. And I can really say that I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you, just like you guys are rooting for me. Seriously, it's you guys are important to me, and I appreciate you for sharing things just like I share to you. But all right, I'm starting to blab a lot. I just like to say something at the end here. All right, that's for me. Thank you so much for watching to my Triple Army members here on Ryan's Raw Reaction. Thank you so much. Please don't bother me while I'm watching True Crime. Available this Sunday. Peace out.